Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time. Welcome to podcast 208. Again, this is the last week of our hollybobs on our little holiday, Christmas break. So we always have a little compilation of what's gone on at the end of every year. And we have had a bumper 2021. We've got some intro chat talking about the importance of morning coffee, layering up and getting warm for the winter, and body shapes. And we've got some interviews as well, Charlotte.
Yeah, so we're talking with Melissa Nebrega. Did I say that right?
Yeah, from Caring Cooks of Jersey.
Hazel Grace from Supporting Nepal's Children. And we have an interview with
Kamal Magecha.
Yeah.
Enjoy all the interviews, enjoy the chat, and we'll see you on the other side. You know what? That is a really bad lockdown habit I've got into, having too much coffee in the morning. And
we had that discussion about how much coffee would it take to kill you because of caffeine amount.
How much is it?
I think it's 3 or 4 cups a day consistently for a number of years could kill you.
Really?
Yeah.
That little? Are you sure?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't think it should.
I think I remember we had the discussion, and however many it was, you used to drink that much coffee.
Yeah.
And we were just like, that's
probably not a wise move, is it?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Like I have like 1 or 2 a week at most.
Right.
And then you were chugging them down like they were.
I still do.
Cokes.
You know. No, Cokes are as bad as coffees. They've got.
Okay, you were chugging them down like juice.
I was chugging them down like gin and tonics. What would kill you quicker? A gin and tonic obsession? Yes, it would.
Yeah, because obviously you'd either crash a car or
what?
You know.
I didn't say I was driving.
Walk into the road, or like alcohol poisoning could get you, but the hospitals can fix that. I mean,
I had the rhythm. Could the rhythm get me? Is the rhythm going to get me? You don't get that reference, do you?
I'm too young. You're too old to get.
No.
And I'm joined by the man who seems to be wearing 2 jackets.
You know
Chris
what?
Dames.
It is late at night. We are doing this in our little home office / shed, and I've got to put the heating on before, so I had to quickly pop down and do it. So it is a bit nippy. I am wearing 2 jackets. It shouldn't impact the quality of the show much. It may do. I may have to take off one of the jackets halfway through the podcast, but I'll certainly give you fair warning before I do that. Why are we talking about jackets on a podcast?
And I'm joined by a man who's got the same length of legs as me, but somehow has a bigger torso. It's Chris Dames.
Now, weirdly, we're standing here recording the podcast and we're comparing leg length.
Yeah, well, my trousers are the same point of my hips as yours, so our legs must be similar or same length, right? But you are taller than me, and I can't see
A lot taller. So, ladies and gents, I don't know whether 6 foot two.
I can't tell if it's like the midsection or the neck.
Well, I haven't got a massive neck, have I? What about a giraffe?
You have a really skinny head as well.
I've got a really skinny head and a really massive neck. Just that's all I need on a Monday. I've had 2 hours in the dentist chair on Friday, and suddenly I'm getting insulted by having a massive neck and a skinny head. Can't believe it.
When things are like skinnier, they become longer, and you've got like a really
No. When things become skinnier, they're not longer, they're just less wide, aren't they?
Well, yeah, but if you had a circle and you squished it,
yeah,
it would become longer.
Yeah, but if you had a circle and you elongated it, it would become what shape?
Shorter. It would become like a sideways oval.
Yeah, but right, if I put on 5 stone right now, I wouldn't shrink
You'd have a bigger
in
chin.
size.
You'd have a bigger chin.
Yeah, I know, but I think this
And
is
a
my
rounder
natural
face.
chin size. Anyway, ladies and gents, unofficial question of the podcast, part 1, is it right to have long legs and a short torso, or
So you've just got a long torso.
no, is it right to have equally long legs and then an equally long torso, or long legs and a short torso? Because I think that's where you are. I don't know what these
Your
things
legs
where
end there, right? And my legs end there.
you do realise we're doing a podcast, yeah? But you're pointing to my legs.
I've just got my hand.
This is podcast gold, ladies and gentlemen, where somebody just points to your legs. Anyway, on that note,
Yes.
what I'd like to know, unofficial question of the podcast listeners, is what is the ideal torso / leg length? Should your torso be a similar length to your legs?
I think
Or should your legs be a lot longer than your torso, like you?
we're talking like torso should be like 2-3 thirds of your body.
Right.
Head should be about 1/3.
How about neck? Because if you've
No,
got a giraffe...
head and neck are just
All right.
squished together.
Well, apparently I've got a giraffe neck.
yeah. So maybe
Maybe I am deformed. Maybe I am just
I mean,
weird
your
body
head is
shape.
probably about 1/10 of your body. So you've got extremely long legs like I do,
Right.
and a really long torso,
I just think
unlike
I
me.
just think you've got a short torso there, so I don't know. Anyway,
I've got your legs though.
you have got my legs. You haven't you got mum's torso. There's the problem. It's like one of those weird things you used to get as a kid where you used to flip the torso over and it used to be a different torso each time. I love them.
Kindness news. Better done by someone who can sing.
Dog edition.
Oh, I love a dog.
Go on.
Oh, okay. You scroll past the title. Okay, here we go. Heroic dog gets awarded for saving over 100 koalas from Australia's bushfires. Oh! Now the Australian Coolie Bear named Bear has been named. Did I skip something?
Coolie Bear named Bear. No, it's Coolie named Bear.
Right, okay, so
Winning an award from.
an intrepid 6-year-old dog helped rescue over 100 injured koalas. I've clearly mispronounced koalas. Koalas from the Australian bushfires in 2019 to 2020.
Yeah, dogs don't live that long. Now, the Australian Coolie named Bear has been named a hero, winning an award for the International Fund for Animal Welfare, IFAL.
IFAL, International Fund for Animal Welfare. Bear was trained in Australia at the University of the Sunshine Coast, where the detection dogs for conservation team took the former rescue dog to use his heightened sense of smell to hunt down injured koalas among the ashes.
Research fellow Dr. Roman Christescu, who leads the USC team, said Bear received extra pats and extra play after he was honoured via video during the IFAL Animal Action Awards event in London's House of Lords.
She said Bear's sense of smell, along with his enthusiasm for play, made him ideal for research projects such as recognising the scent of koala fur in the bush.
IFAL, which sponsors Bear, said the dog has been a ray of hope as he searched burned habitat to help the USC IFAL team and their partners to rescue over 100 koalas.
And he's got his own his Insta famous.
Bear the koala dog.
You can find him and all about the story on Bear the Koala Dog. It's actually
Koala dog.
Koala.
The koala dog. Hi Melissa, how are you? Are you
Hello.
having a good day so far?
Yes, very good, thank you.
Good. What have you been up to today?
Oh gosh, it's a busy day in our office because it's always very varied. We're doing recruitment, we're talking menus, but actually I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. I like you, I've had a busy week as well.
Yeah, I've had a good day. I've run an event for a bunch of people this morning. That was good. Normally Fridays are my day off. I've gone down to. I'm trying to go down to a 4-day week, but because we're busy at the minute, I'm doing this 5-day week business. I don't know what's happening. It's I need to get back to my short weeks, but all good.
Definitely.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about my early my work shy attitudes. Clearly, we're here to talk about Caring Cooks of Jersey. So before we start talking about the charity, tell me a bit about you.
Well, firstly, thank you for the opportunity to do this for the Kindness Project. So I'm Melissa Nebrega. I'm founder and chief exec of Caring Cooks of Jersey. So I'm 45. I'm a mother of an 8 and 10-year-old that has experienced homeschooling and doesn't want to do it again. I'm married to Delio, who works in IT. I've lived in Jersey for 27 years. and it is a lovely place to live. I'm sure we'll come on to talk about the downsides of living here. And I'm passionate about everything to do with childhood nutrition, really.
Amazing, great stuff. You know what I like Jersey. I mean, we were over seeing, because as you know, Louise, who's my cousin, connected us so we could have a chat. And I like Jersey. The weird thing is, every time I travel to Jersey, I just have a really bad travel experience, like getting to the place. So the first time I flew from City Airport in East London to Jersey, and there was some really bad turbulence that I completely slept through, and I was only told by the guy next to me, when you wake up and you go, "Yeah, that was all right," and apparently it was a really bad flight. But when we came over with the girls a couple of years ago, we got the ferry. And the ferry, because we wanted so I've got friends in Guernsey as well. So we did Jersey, Guernsey, and then back to the UK. And the ferry crossing was a strange one. It was a bit shaky.
I can't get on that ferry. Every time I get on it, I'm a bit like you. I have a very bad experience. I just won't get on that ferry.
You know what? It's weird, isn't it? I didn't expect it. I expected it to be like sort of getting the ferry to France, but I suppose, because it's going in a different direction, the sort of tides here a bit differently, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad it's not just me.
It's not you.
Good stuff. And talk to me a bit about homeschooling. You're glad that the kids are back to school, right?
Yeah. So actually, to be fair to my husband, I didn't do homeschooling. So obviously we locked down on March the 20th for 15 weeks, and they did periodically go back in June. But I didn't do the homeschooling because I just can't do it. It causes me so much stress. So my amazing husband managed to juggle all of his work time to get it done. But it's like, you've got to be really diligent about it, and you've got to have a structure and actually be really kind to yourself, because just do it in the morning and let them do whatever they want to do in an afternoon. And some days didn't do anything. I don't know what it's like in the UK, but some schools over here did actual Zoom classes for primary school children, but we didn't have that luxury, and everything came through on Seesaw. And then we literally had to do all the homeschooling, whereas it would have been great if they'd have done this kind of environment with the teacher teaching. I'm not quite sure why they didn't do that, but I suppose they weren't really set up to do it on the first lockdown, whereas they probably would have done it better this time.
So lockdown one, they didn't. And we had sort of emailed packs that we worked through with Sophie. Now they're doing Zoom classes. So about 3.5 hours in the morning, and then a body of work to do later on. So that seems to be working better. And it means that we haven't got to be the bad guys all the time, because the teacher's there saying, "Sophie, come on, let's get their work done." So yeah. I'm happy about it. I get to be fun dad again, which is the job that I can do. I'm not sure about strict disciplinarian dad. I do it when I need to, but I don't particularly enjoy it. So talk to me a bit about Caring Cooks of Jersey.
So I used to work for Lloyds Bank for quite a long time in marketing, and after I had my first child, I used to take him to little play groups, and obviously that was nice, and I went back to work, and then I had my second child, and I went back to the same play groups, and I'd got experience of weaning and all of that kind of childhood food journey. And when I went to the play groups with my second child, a lot of the mums were saying, it's amazing that you've pureed all your own food. And they were actually saying, most of the time we can't afford to feed our kids because we're living in poverty. And I was really shocked about it, because Jersey's considered an affluent island. No one thinks there's any poverty here. And I think I was very blind to it because I'd had a very privileged life working in finance. I'd never lived in poverty. So I went home and I said to my husband, I really just can't believe that round the corner is a playgroup where parents can't afford to feed their kids. And at the same time, there was a thing called the Casserole Club that had launched in Tower Hamlets in London. And it was to prevent social isolation for the elderly by a neighbour delivering an extra portion to an elderly neighbour. So I thought, what can I do for those families that are in poverty, in line with the Casserole Club? So I put a social media post out to say, can I help a family on a Saturday with a meal? And the local press jumped on top of it, and which I wasn't really expecting and didn't really want. I just wanted to do it for me. So that one meal turned into a network of volunteers across the island that wanted to do the same.
Amazing.
It is, it is amazing. And so the weekly meal service was born, and for 3 years it was run purely on volunteers, and I was connecting families to volunteers, people in the community that wanted to do it. But actually, I think it was 2 years. I think it was probably 1.5. But what transpired was this whole data protection thing of protecting vulnerable families. So we formed as a charity in 2014 and kind of professionalized the weekly meal service.
Yeah.
So that's our founding service. And when I started it, I didn't really expect it to be what it is today. But it is what it is today, and it is amazing. And we've grown from there. So what we realized during that first year of the weekly meal service is that many parents didn't have budgeting skills, meal planning skills, even the skills to cook a meal from scratch. So 42% of adults in Jersey feel they don't have the skills to cook a nutritious meal from scratch, which is according to a government lifestyle survey. And similarly, 42% of those people, which are maybe the same people, can't afford to buy fresh fruit and vegetables. So that's half the population are in this scenario where it's massive, where they can't physically put a nutritious meal on the table. So we then launched our adult cooking program. So from a local secondary school, we took over their home ec room and we taught 150 parents basic skills. We would still like to do that today, but unfortunately we lost our cookery room. So that's kind of been on hold for a few years. But going back to why I did it in the first place, it's around children, because children are our future, if you want to sing a Whitney Houston song, but we need to make sure that...
We're not against singing on the podcast.
You don't want to
I mean, we might have to get the licensing rights to... I don't know how much that will cost us, but yeah, let's avoid... Now I'm thinking about the expense of using a Whitney Houston song on our podcast. I'm worried. But Russ, just superimpose it, yeah?
I'll put that Spotify on.
Yeah, no, you're right. But you know, being parents ourselves, you invest time, effort, energy in your kids because you want them to have good lives, and I think you understand the impact of a good start in life, don't you? That's the thing, and particularly when it comes to nutrition as well.
Absolutely. So the United Nations, there's human rights of a child, and access to nutritious food every day is a human right of a child. And so many children can't access that because of their parents' financial or living circumstances, which isn't necessarily the parents' fault. And we need to move away from this blame culture that if you can't afford them, don't breed them. Like, that is just not the case. And particularly during COVID, like, we did a community meal service during lockdown, and I was absolutely horrified about the people that were coming to us for help. These were local business owners that in a normal day would be considered affluent.
Talk to me a little bit about the impact of the elements. So you've got earthquakes in Nepal. Have you got
monsoon?
Yeah.
So you've got the monsoon in the summer, and then you've, especially up in the mountains, we've got the winters.
Yeah.
And
so it's a tough environment to live in.
It's a really tough environment, and like I said, the kids will happily walk to school every day.
Yeah.
They won't go, oh, Mum, it's really windy outside. Will you take me in the car? Not an option.
Is that as you say, because school is optional? Do you reckon it's just that understanding of the value of education?
Yeah. And that's, I mean, one of the things Tenzing Norgay, when he, obviously one of the first people on the top of Everest, because it's between him and Sir Edmund Hillary. Tenzing, the quote that we use from him is, "I climb mountains so my children don't have to."
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
They don't want their kids to
be Sherpas.
They want them to be educated, and most of the Sherpa community up in the thing, most of them, their children are educated down in Kathmandu because they can afford to send them to good schools.
Yeah, gotcha.
So they send them there. Whereas then there's the other
people in the village,
other castes that can't afford that. So they're the people that get.
You can help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it because there's a big debate at the minute about sustainable tourism in Everest, right? What do we need to do to improve the way Westerners treat Nepal?
Oh my God, that's a good one.
It wasn't on my list either.
No, you cheat. I mean, the thing is, I know. Actually, up on the Everest Trail, they are doing a lot towards taking away the plastic bottles and things like that, because everything above Lukla has to be carried. Because there are no roads. So things get flown in on a little 15-seater plane, and then you see these porters carrying plastic bottles of water up the trail so that us trekkers can have nice fresh water. Plastic bottles of Coke. Really? We don't need... I had a big debate with a trekker one year. I actually didn't have a debate, I had a big argument. Because he was having a go at the lodge owner that they didn't have Diet Coke. And I said, well, you don't need Diet Coke up here, you need full fat Coke. No, I want Diet Coke. Right, well, why didn't you carry it?
Yeah.
Why would anyone carry something that has no calorific value?
You want the sugar, don't you? That's the thing.
Sugar. I don't like full fat Coke, but I drink it in abundance.
Because you want the boost. You want the boost.
But what they're doing up there, they've banned, I think it's as from now, they've banned single-use plastics up on the trail. There's also a friend of mine is building this place called Sagarmatha Next, where they're showing not only the locals but also the trekkers the value of rubbish. So they're turning rubbish into art.
Oh, I love that.
And they've also got a recycling project there, and what they're doing is they're asking each trekker to take 1 kilo of shredded tins and plastics and stuff like that that's already up there, back down to Lukla in a bag on their way down, so when they're not, they've got more energy, take it back, and then it will get transported out and recycled properly in Kathmandu.
Love that.
And that's going to be opening in May, and that's a big project called Sagarmatha.
So just there's a lot
of things that are starting to go on. And the one thing whenever I take people out is I tell them, right, take what we call it's an Nalgene bottle, it's a brand. You can get it filled with boiling water before you go to bed, keeps you warm in the sleeping bag at night. The next morning it's there as drinking water.
Cool.
And it's like, I don't need... When I'm up there, I never use plastic bottles for my water or anything. I'm not saying I don't have the odd Coke, because I do.
But only full fat.
Only full fat.
So you mentioned about the Build and Trek events. Yeah. What does that involve?
Basically, what we do is every other year we take a team of 10, 15 people maximum, and we say, right, we've got a project for you. It's this school. They need this many classrooms, you need to raise this much funds.
So it's a fundraising
It's a fundraising thing, and it's basically, you are going to fund this school.
Okay.
But what's going to happen is you're going to actually get to meet the kids. You're going to get involved with the build. It might be you're involved at the build at the very beginning, so we're demolishing stuff, which we were last year, and 2 years before we were all demolishing things. And then you get involved in the community. You see where your money's gone. You've raised. We asked them to raise £10,000 each, and all your donors will see where that money goes.
Yep.
They obviously pay their own way. Every single penny that's raised goes straight to the project.
So they fund flights.
They fund their flights. They fund. They have to pay for the privilege of coming to do this. Yeah. And it's not cheap. So they have to pay to live in a tent for a week on the campsite.
Hazel, you're not selling this.
I know. As soon as I'm saying it, I'm thinking, really. But if you ask, we've had people that have come to both Vilden Treks and want to come to the next one.
You know what though? I mean, since we've done the podcast, there was one, and I always talk about this on the podcast. There was a guy who wrote one of my favourite books, and it's called The 5 Side Effects of Kindness. Have you ever read it?
Oh no.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. He's a Scottish guy, David Hamilton, his name is, really good. And he talks about the fact that just the effort involved in giving back is quite selfish in a way. It does make you feel fantastic. It makes you feel good. So I can see people who want to contribute financially and otherwise to help.
It. They come out. They get to see the kids.
Yeah.
They get to see the school that they're helping.
And how much more personal is that in terms of seeing the impact instead of just doing a direct debit?
You actually see where your money's going. And see what you have done.
Hi Kamal, thanks for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Tell us a little bit, before we start talking about the amazing work that Deep Black do, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, so I'm an ex-teacher, I would say. Because that was my profession for 12 years. Before that, I worked in industry for 19 years for BT, within a partnership with Concert as well. I took redundancy, retrained, became a teacher, worked for 12 years. The final school that I was actually at was Brentwood School in Essex.
Okay.
And whilst I was there, I was head of PSHE, head of exams, and also teaching computing. I left the school to go and do my master's in applied positive psychology and coaching psychology. Whilst I was doing that, I also set up my own business.
Like you didn't have enough to do, right?
Like I didn't have enough to do with the master's, yeah, absolutely. And then I carried on working as a freelancer for Deep Black. Whilst I was also setting up the business and doing the masters, because the work that they've actually been doing has been amazing. Yeah. I've worked with them and I employed them to do some work for Brentwood School and the students within it. So I knew what sort of work they did, and it was something I was really interested in.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about that. What kind of work do Deep Black do?
So they work creatively to resolve conflicts, and that can be conflicts within the person or externally with staff, with the students themselves, with parents and so on. So it's a not-for-profit organisation. We work as a cooperative. I took on the role of director only recently in January.
Okay.
They've been running since 2008. It was set up by 2 people.
So talk to me about how that practically works. So Deep Black go in and run seminars, or how does the format work?
Okay, so Deep Black was set up basically to offer conflict resolution through creativity. The directors at the time worked almost freely, but now, to be fair, the work that they've done, the work that we've actually continued to do, we are now being recognised as being experts in our field. Yeah. We've won awards, or Deep Black have won awards. I'm still not comfortable saying we, although I should be. But the awards were won, and it's a National Health Trust award, so it's quite highly recognised by mental health teams and the crisis teams within, particularly Haringey, because that's
where their work's focused.
Yeah. So it's the unique approach, holding and working with creativity and holding safety in the group, enabling that all of the group are able to speak openly and honestly about how they feel, and really just being able to look at conflict from different perspectives, looking at it and being honest enough to identify where the conflict is actually coming in.
Okay.
And what sort of things.
So Deep Black would go into schools primarily?
Currently, it's schools. We do work with a university in Germany as well, and we've been having talks with a university in the UK about our work.
Amazing. And what are the size of the groups?
When you say the size of the groups, of the student groups. Okay, so student groups we tend to keep to a maximum of 20, but it depends on the different offerings that we have. So we do a whole school approach looking at the introduction to emotional resilience. And that's literally looking at the key words. Anxiety, people confused with being anxious. So rather than saying I'm feeling anxious because there's something coming up, they say I'm suffering from anxiety. So they're almost labeling themselves with a particular issue rather than actually looking at, okay, this is not the correct language. What am I actually feeling? Where is that coming from? What's the need that I have?
Yeah, I suppose it's the difference between a permanent state and a state that passes as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
But I'm suffering from anxiety. Seems quite permanent.
Permanent. Yeah, it's constant. It's always there. Whereas being anxious is there are moments when I can feel I'm very anxious and I have anxiety at that moment, but not all the time.
Just help me understand. So look, so Deep Black focus on the area of managing conflict through creativity.
Yeah.
When a school approaches you to do a body of work, like when you were doing the PHSE work, what made you approach Deep Black and say this would be really useful?
I'd actually attended a workshop in Haringey, and one of the workshops that I signed up for was theirs, purely by chance because I was very last minute, and I saw the work that they did and the way they worked and used creativity because it's very immersive. Everyone sort of just takes part. It's very drama based, and the impact it had on me as an adult, where I was familiar with some of these terms, was quite huge. And I thought, I know how the kids will respond to this, how the children in the school would respond to this, and how we as staff could also start responding to the children and educating it. It's a whole school approach to learning about and working with emotions, looking at. People don't realise when you behave in a particular way that there's something else going on underneath.
Yeah.
So I might be crying, but I might be crying from joy, or I might be crying because I'm really sad, or I might be crying because I can, just cry.
But it's that people have got their own stories, and sometimes we don't recognise that, do we? And when you say a drama-based approach, does that involve role play? Does that?
It can involve role play, but generally we tend to do group-based or couples, so 2 to 3 people in a group to have a chat and then feed back to the group. So we create a safe environment for young people and adults, because these are then offered across to parents, staff, and the wider school community as well.
And that is the last of our Christmas Holobob specials, where we talk about what we've been up to during the year. We are back with a brand spanking new live episode next week, and it's going to be episode 209 and 210. We're going to be 4 years old as a podcast.
4 years, bye bye.
And we're going to be doing something special, aren't we, Russ?
Yeah, we're not going live though.
And on that note, my friends, hope you're going to have a lovely new year. Speak soon, and I'll see you on the podcast soon. Bye.
Bye.